Hello, Thrivers. Today, I wanted to talk about cognitive dissonance. Okay, now cognitive dissonance is a normal thing that happens in life, and I'm going to talk about what it is and how you can see it showing up in your life. Okay, but at the same time, it can also be something that can cause trauma in you and it can keep you stuck. Okay, so I want to talk about cognitive dissonance through the lens of emotional trauma, psychological manipulation, and how other people can use this to actually control you. Okay, so in this video, we're going to talk about what cognitive dissonance is. We're going to look at the normal aspects of cognitive dissonance. We're also going to look at how it can be used to control you. And we're going to talk about what exactly a toxic person is trying to control in you. Okay, and then obviously, most important, we're going to talk about what to do about it. So that being said, let's dive in. For those that don't know me, my name is Michele. I'm a life and relationship coach. I'm the founder of the Thriver School of Transformation, which is a monthly membership where we meet live on Zoom weekly, and we work through the side effects of narcissistic abuse and complex PTSD together. So if you feel like weekly assistance could be beneficial for you, make sure you check out the link above. Okay, so first of all, what is cognitive dissonance? Well, the idea behind cognitive dissonance is that people will feel anxiety when they are acting or doing something that's inconsistent with their personal beliefs. Okay, or when they're confronted with new information that is out of harmony with their beliefs. So the idea behind it is that when that happens, they will somehow find a way to make everything consistent again psychologically. And the person that developed this idea, his name was Leon Festinger. And it started because he studied a group of people that were convinced that the end of the world was coming and that UFOs were going to visit them from the planet Clarion and take them away in their spaceships. So because of this belief, a lot of people sold their possessions. They went to this mountain and waited on this supposed designated day of the apocalypse. And lo and behold, nothing happened. And when the UFOs didn't show up, surprise, the people that had that strong belief, rather than feeling duped, right? Rather than acknowledging reality that they were wrong, what the brain did was, because this was such a strong belief, but it didn't happen, there's the cognitive dissonance, two opposing thoughts, actions, or beliefs, right, that aren't in harmony with each other. What they did was their brain found a way to make sense of them by saying, well, the UFOs didn't come because we had such a strong faith. The aliens were so happy with us that they spared the earth. It sounds crazy, but that's how their brain rationalized the obvious that was out of harmony with their belief. Okay, so that's where it comes from. And it shows up in our life all the time. It's a normal part of life. So for example, let's say I'm walking my dog, right? And in the States, we have the law, we have to clean up after our dog, right? In fact, where I live, I'll get fined if I don't clean up after my dogs. So let's say one day I'm out and I'm walking my dogs, and Tokyo, Luke's dog, goes to the bathroom, and I realize I don't have a bag on me. What do I do? Well, first I look around. Anyone watching this? And let's say I decide to go home because I don't have a way to clean it up. Okay, I'm walking home, and the whole way home, I'm feeling uncomfortable because part of my brain is saying, I'm supposed to clean up after my dog, but my actions are out of harmony with that. So two things can happen when I get home. I can either rationalize my behavior and say something like, well, other people do it, or, it's just this one time, it's not a big deal. I've seen, where other dogs have left theirs and whatever, and it's not that big of a deal. So I can rationalize it by, trying to convince myself that, I'm always doing it anyway. This was just a one-time thing, da, 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 da. Or the uncomfortableness can motivate me to go clean it up, right? So in a way, cognitive dissonance, when used properly, can help us to keep our actions in harmony with our beliefs. If my belief is, it's important to clean up after my dog, I want to be a good neighbor. I want to keep the area clean. It's important to me. Then it's going to motivate me to take action. Okay. So that's what cognitive dissonance is. That's how it shows up in a positive way. But let's get into how it can cause trauma. Okay, so let's talk about how narcissists like to use cognitive dissonance to control you. And the first thing we have to understand is, what exactly do they want to control? Okay, now I know a lot of you are probably like, me, Michele, obviously, hello. But let's be more specific. What a toxic, malignant narcissist really wants to control are three things. Four things, okay? The first thing is they want to control your reality, how you see the world. The second thing is they want to control your perception of them. They also want to control your perception of you, how you see you, how you know who you are. And the fourth thing is your free will. And that last one I just threw in there because it's true, but we're going to save that one for another video. Okay. But in reference to your reality, your perception of them, and your perception of yourself, they want to control those three things. And cognitive dissonance is a powerful tool that enables them to do that. So, for example, when it comes to cognitive dissonance, the belief that is the oldest, or the belief that has the most foundation, the most secondary beliefs after it, the belief that you've had for a long period of time, you've thought about for a long period of time, so your brain was constantly firing and wiring in harmony with that older belief. That one is most resistant to change. Okay, so the first, in cognitive dissonance, there's one belief, then there's another that's out of harmony. So the first belief is harder to change. It has to be psychologically dismantled, and that takes time. But before we get into the dismantling part, so we have this older belief. Well, what's the oldest belief in a relationship with a narcissist? The oldest belief is that this person is amazing. This person loves you like no one has ever loved you. This person has your best interests at heart. This person is, everything you ever wanted. And if it was a parent, the oldest belief, think about in childhood, this person is responsible for my survival. If no one else has my back, my parent loves me, right? My parent wants what's best for me. Those are the oldest beliefs. Those are the most normal, concrete beliefs we can have. Okay, that's one side of the cognitive dissonance. When you're in a relationship that's new with a narcissist, that love bombing phase is what cements those beliefs in you. They become hardwired into your psyche. You live life really believing that you are invested, just as invested in these beliefs as those people were in the UFO that was about to come to the planet. Okay, not to compare something bizarre with something that happens every day, but I just want you to know that that love bombing stage cements those beliefs. And then you live them for a period of time. But eventually, as you know, the narcissist can never maintain you seeing them that way because it's not who they really are. So they start showing up in ways where their mask slips. They start devaluing you, right? They start snapping at you. You start seeing their anger. You start seeing their unkindness. You start seeing their emotional cruelty. Here's a new belief. This person is really cruel and mean and hurtful. This person is amazing. They love me like no other. There's two separate beliefs here. So here you have cognitive dissonance, which is uncomfortable in the brain. It creates a lot of anxiety, but on top of it, the narcissist does something that makes it even harder to work through the cognitive dissonance. And that's that they keep flipping like a ping pong, right? So let's say on this side, you're like, this person is good for me. This person is bad for me on this side. Okay. So this person is bad for you. They start acting in ways that are horrible. Right at the moment when you get to the belief where you're like, okay, I am convinced this person is bad for me, they flip over to the other side and they show you a glimpse, a mirage really, but you see it. It's a glimpse of what they were before. And so your brain's like, oh, wait a second. No, they are good for me. So you're ping-ponging back and forth, right? And you can't hold on to your perception of them. Every time you start to grasp who they are and what kind of person they are, they flip and you lose that perception. Okay, so they're changing your perception of them. So when your brain is in this confusion, the narcissist will then tell you things like, everything's normal. Like, I'm happy. I think this is great. Our relationship is special and normal and amazing. And you're hearing that, well, wait a second, they don't see anything wrong with it. It must be me. So your brain starts rationalizing the discomfort and the anxiety as being your fault, something lacking in you, not in the other person. And you see how damaging this is. This is distorting your perception of them and your perception of you at the same time. And narcissists are smart, or I shouldn't say smart. They are manipulative because they wait to cause this cognitive dissonance in you. They wait for your idea of them, your original idea of them, that they are amazing, that they are the one for you, where you believe their promises. They wait for that to be fully planted within you before they begin devaluing you. Because again, those original beliefs are stronger and harder to dismantle than the ones that follow after. Once you are in that cognitive dissonance, the psychological discomfort, the emotional discomfort that comes from it causes you to do things to help alleviate the anxiety of the cognitive dissonance. And so one thing you do is you're in denial. You reject the facts. Sometimes the brain will help you to do that. It will delete whatever's causing you pain because it thinks it's helping you. It's like, oh, these memories that just happened, they are causing Michele a lot of discomfort. Let's delete them. And you remember that one moment where there was peace? Let's highlight that. And your brain starts doing that. So now you're in denial. The next thing your brain might do is it might rationalize. It might say something like, same thing when I was walking my dog and my brain started rationalizing, right? It might rationalize and say, well, you know, you did overreact. You did because you probably were sucked into reactive abuse. So you're seeing yourself and you are seeing that you've changed. So now your brain's like, oh, well, but look what you did. You know, you are different now. Like, you have so much anxiety. Maybe you are the cause as to why we aren't how we were in the beginning. Maybe it's your fault. And so what do? You try harder and harder because you're willing to do your part, right? But you're trying harder and harder as if it's your fault, as if you changing is going to cause them to change. And the reality is that that's who they really are. It's just that now you're seeing it, but the brain is trying to rationalize it, okay? And the next thing is to reject any new information. And so sometimes what we'll do is we'll spend time ruminating about what the person used to be and wondering what we did wrong that caused the change. And all this is doing is it's warping your perception. It's warping your reality. It's also affecting your mind because you wind up losing cognitive functioning, because what's happening is you are now more and more in a constant state of hypervigilance. You are in fight or flight. You are constantly confused. Your amygdala is overactive, and the thinking centers of your brain, they are not effective when you are in fight or flight. You begin to lose the ability to think clearly, to stay grounded in your reality, to trust yourself. You start to feel as if you're going crazy. You question your beliefs, you question your thoughts, you question what is normal. 5 things happen as a result of narcissistic abuse, okay? And I want you to take a moment, if you're in a relationship where you feel you might be in a toxic relationship and this might be happening to you, take note of how many of these you might be experiencing, okay? Number 1, you may not even realize you're being abused because your brain is rationalizing what's happening. And even though you may have moments of clarity, you still may not even realize that what's taking place is actually abuse, especially if there's no overt yelling or overt abuse and it's all covertly done. I think one common thing that a lot of people experience when they go see a therapist, okay, so many people, and I've heard this from so many clients, and I experienced it myself too, is going to get help, not saying I'm in an abusive relationship or this person is abusing me, but saying, I'm screwed up. There's something wrong with me. Can you help me? If you get a good therapist, then they can see that you are in a toxic relationship, in an emotionally, psychologically abusive relationship. If you don't get a good therapist, and sadly, I've spoken to so many that wind up with therapists that help them to stay trying harder and harder and harder to please an unpleasable person. So what a danger that is. The second strange thing that happens as a result of cognitive dissonance is the fact that you become super loyal to this person and you hide the abuse and you live the lie. Why? It's not that you think I'm hiding the abuse, I'm living the lie. It's that once they have distorted your reality to see it how they see it, that this is normal and anything that's not normal is something wrong with you, then you are living in alignment with that reality and trying to support that reality. Something I see all the time as well and have experienced. Supporting a lie because you were convinced it wasn't a lie. How dangerous is that? Because now, not only have you been supporting their false reality and their distorted vision of what's really happening, but you may have convinced others that they're great and you're the problem without even realizing it. And again, if you feel like this happened to you, there is no shame in this. You have been psychologically manipulated in a way that flies under the radar, and have compassion for yourself, okay? It's not about beating yourself. It's not about hating on yourself. It's about being proud of yourself for getting to the root of it and being ready and willing to change and work through it and heal. The third dangerous thing that happens is that you stay. You stay and you will wind up getting exploited, because the second you have adopted their reality is you don't do enough. I do everything, which is so false, right? Their words and their actions are never on the same page. But the second you have adopted their reality, then you are trying harder and harder, which usually means the toxic person gives a little bit less and you give a little bit more. They give a little bit less and you step up to pick up their slack. And that happens emotionally, financially, in any way, shape, and form. They're doing less and less and you're doing more and more, and they are exploiting you. The fourth thing that happens is you get stuck in chronic fight or flight. Your world doesn't make sense anymore. It's almost like living life constantly hopping on and off a merry-go-round, right? So you're on the merry-go-round. You ever get off the merry-go-round and like the whole world feels like it's, upside down? Well, you live like that every day, 24/7, which means your body gets stuck in fight or flight. This affects your brain function, this affects your nervous system, and it also affects your physical health. And the last thing that can happen is that even if the relationship ends, okay, whether it's they discarded you or you left or you moved out of your parents' home, the cognitive dissonance can linger and cause you to feel super uncomfortable, because if you don't have all the pieces to the puzzle, and if you have not learned how to dismantle those original beliefs and how to work through it, then you are left with such discomfort that some people will leave the narcissist when they know that the person is toxic and have such discomfort that it actually causes them to go back. Okay, so cognitive dissonance is a tool that narcissists use to change you, your perception of you, your reality, your perception of them. It allows them to prolong their abuse and exploit you. So it's really important to understand what it is. For the sake of time, I will do another video on how to break the spell of cognitive dissonance. So if your goal is to recover from narcissistic abuse, from toxic relationships, from childhood trauma, make sure you subscribe to my channel, hit the bell icon so you're notified of all my upcoming videos, because they're all about how to do so. And if you ever need more assistance other than the videos, then make sure you check out the Thriver School of Transformation. It's an awesome international community of people that are on this journey together, working through it so that they can get their life back and be who they really are and not who the trauma turned them into. So feel free to check it out and see if it's a good fit for you.